Welcome back inside Citi Field as tonight's game, temperature-wise, very comfortable conditions here in Flushing. 75 degrees, humidity at 79%, a light breeze at 9 miles per hour here at Citi Field. Steven Matz on the mound as Brian Snitker's National League East champion. 4th season with the Braves as their manager after 40 years in the organization. Last year, of course, the NL Manager of the Year in 2018. Has done another terrific job this year. And we check out Snitker's lineup. The Atlanta Braves look like this. Dansby Swanson is healthy. He's at shortstop. Ozzie Albies at second base, bats second. Freddie Freeman back. He is also healthy at the moment, trying to click offensively once again. Josh Donaldson at third base with Nick Markakis in right field. Missed a big chunk of the season. Adam Duvall is in left field. Brian McCann, the veteran, and his veteran presence back with the Braves again. Billy Hamilton, the speedster, in center field. Mike Fultonevich on the mound tonight for the Braves. And batting out of the 9th spot, here's Steven Matz in his first pitch of the evening. Fastball swung on and missed by Dansby Swanson. This is the 30th start overall, the 32nd appearance for Matz.
Well, Steve Matz, fastball, curveball, slider change will get up to 95. One of the keys is being able to drive that fastball inside to right-handed hitters and not leaving it out over the plate like he just did there to Dansby Swanson. I also think another key pitch for this kid is his curveball. I think he needs to use it more because it is a swing and miss pitch that has a lot of depth.
Now, health is a concern here for the Atlanta Braves at the end of the year. They're trying to get through these last 2 games as healthy as they can be. Ender Enciarte will not be available for them, and he did go. Strike 3. Swanson strikes out. Rung up by first base umpire Alan Porter.
Well, you're talking about health of the Braves. The leadoff spot, they need Acuna in that lineup. They need his groin to be healthy. Swanson's done a nice job coming back since he came back off his IL stint of his own with his heel, but you want to start the game off with Ronald Acuna Jr. who can go 1-0.
Well, you're talking about a rare combination of power and speed. 41 homers, 37 stolen bases, and as you said, I mean, it could be 1-0 in a hurry. And then you have this kid, Ozzie Albies, especially against left-handers. This is Hall of Fame numbers against left-handers. He has a OPS over 1100 off a left, crushes them. So, you know, if you're a team facing them, you got to watch out this kid against left-handers.
Albies getting his hands out of the way that time on a fastball up and in. Here are the numbers for him this year. 24 home runs on the season, 86 RBIs, and batting out of the 2 spot and at second base. But this year offensively it has really clicked for him.
Well, he's played in 158 out of 159 games, and you see that cutter. I mean, that's an effective pitch for Matz. It's a little bit slower than his fastball, but it will set up everything away. It'll set up his changeup away, and you see how this ball cuts. He thinks he's got a beat on it, and if it was a 4-seam fastball, Ozzie Albies hits that and probably hits it a long ways, but it just got underneath his bat.
1-2 to Albies. On the ground, foul outside of third. We'll do it again.
You know, it's interesting, AJ. You throw that cutter in, you know, like waist high, and the hitter can't get to it. But like left-handed hitters, right-handers can get to that ball a little bit easier low and in. I don't know why, but they just seem to be able to do it.
It's just shorter. It's just easier to drop the barrel straight down than it is kind of straight across. If you can just drop the barrel on a ball, it makes your swing shorter, and it's easier, less effort. That's one of the reasons the high fastball has become in vogue, because guys are geared down in baseball. You look at Mike Trout, the best player going right now. If you throw him a pitch low below his belt, knees and down, he hits it almost every time. He doesn't miss that pitch. So what do? You go high like they just did in Albies. It's an easier swing when the ball is down because of the swings now.
First changeup he's thrown tonight. He's got Ozzie Albies has really worked his count. Again, I mean, this young man, yeah, he's having a great year, but he's a Hall of Fame hitter against left-handers. And his at-bats have gotten better against right-handers, and that's why he's up to the 2 slot. Man, is he dangerous right-handed.
Payoff pitch here. And it's grounded towards Cano at second base, who gobbles it up and takes care of out number 2.
How about that position? He didn't even have to move. And I'm not so sure Robbie looked where he threw it either. I mean, he's so efficient at throwing the baseball, he just kind of flicks it.
Well, we talked about Acuna as a key. This guy right here, he needs to be healthy. Talking to him before the game, he's got the elbow issue going. He took a couple days off, got some treatment on it, but he said he just can't extend the way he was, and that's led to the slump.
And AJ, it's his right elbow.
Yeah, so it's his lead elbow.
Talk about that, the lead elbow opposed to the back.
Well, he said he was cutting his swing off because it hurt when he extends it and straightens it. Well, as a hitter, you have to straighten your elbow in order to hit the ball with authority.
So that extension is what gives him the power and the ability to drive the baseball.
So you said he hasn't hit a home run since September 1st. Correct. Well, that's kind of when the elbow started barking. Well, if you can't extend your elbow and you're hitting off a bent front elbow, that means you're going to roll a lot of balls over, which takes away all your power. And guess what? Freddie Freeman's a fly ball hitter.
Waves at that, and he's now 2 for his last 32. It's a 1-2-3 first for Steven Matz. Pete Alonso will be up when we come back to bat second. All eyes on Pete Alonso as we get ready for the bottom of the first inning of bat second. Let's check out Mickey Callaway's starting 9. Brendan Nimmo will be in center field leading it off. Pete Alonso bats second at first base. Robinson Cano at second base. Michael Conforto out of the cleanup spot with J.D. Davis in left field. Ahmed Rosario at shortstop with Todd Frazier, the veteran at third base, batting out of the 7th spot. Rene Rivera does the catching, and Steven Matz will bat 9th in the Mets order. Mike Foltynewicz ready to work here to Brandon Nimmo. And that is a strike on the outside corner. Foltynewicz, a guy who in June was sent down to AAA. That's after he was an all-star and started in the postseason game 1 last year for the Braves. Kind of a shocking thing to have take place, but as it turns out, it might be the best thing that's happened to him in his career because he has been outstanding since.
Well, in spring training, his first start, he felt something in his elbow and really missed all of spring training. And like Freddie Freeman, but a different sense, he couldn't feel like he could extend his arm when he was pitching. He was cutting things off. So he wasn't getting the location or the crispness of his pitches. Well, he went down to AAA, got his confidence back, felt better about his arm. And since then, he's come back. In 9 starts, he has an ERA of 2.35. So he's really back to who he was last year.
Well, he's made some adjustments also. I caught this guy when he first got traded over from Houston, and he was a high fastball, 4-seamer, curveball.
Nimmo sends this to center. Billy Hamilton's waiting for out number 1. So how much has he changed what he's doing now compared to when you caught him?
Well, he was a high fastball curveball guy. Now he's a 2-seamer, velocity down, slider guy. Completely revamped his repertoire.
Here comes Pete Alonso. 52 home runs in his first season in the majors.
I mean, is it really that easy? 52?
He's made it look easy.
I asked Brian Snicker, can we just get a guy to come in there and underhand him a ball and let him hit 53 and let the crowd go crazy and get him this record?
Well, a lot of times when you see a power hitter like that, you think that, okay, I got ahead of him. 0-1, I'm in a good position. He's hitting over 350 in 0-1 counts with 8 home runs. So be careful this next pitch.
Well, if you can throw it 98 and locate it like Folty did right there, pretty much get anybody out. That was a
And you can bring it back like that. It started off the plate and had that little bit of run.
Fouls it off and is down 1-2.
Choking up a little bit. You see the extension he gets. He just got underneath that ball. Just a tap. He almost hit 53 right there.
Well, be real careful. If he hangs him a slider right here, we'll have 53.
Skips in, evens a count at 2-2.
And that's the curveball. Foltynewicz used to throw high fastballs, curveballs. He kind of got away from the curveball, and he said when I was talking to him today, he started throwing that again when he went to AAA. He said, I can't just be a 2-pitch pitcher. I have to have 4 pitches. And when he went down, he worked on the curveball and a changeup.
Ties him up and in. Full
There's
count.
the changeup. I mean, you think about it. I mean, he's shown him almost everything. He hasn't shown him the slider yet, which I would think would be a good pitch to Pete Alonso if he wants to throw it here. But he's thrown him fastballs that have run, changeup that has run, curveball that has bite down. Has not showed him the slider. There it is.
Waves of that, strikes out. Nasty pitch. First strikeout for Foltynewicz. 2 down.
Usually you don't want to show a hitter everything, but when they're Pete Alonso, why not? First pitch breaking ball, good pitch. Just misses. 98. Right down the middle. That's the one Pete Alonso won back. Another curveball down in the dirt. Change up. And then the slider in a perfect position. As a hitter, you go back to the dugout saying, I struck out. But you also go back saying, I've seen everything he's got.
Yeah.
Now I have an idea. He can't throw another pitch that he hasn't seen yet. So he'll continue to build his at-bats. And he also keeps a notebook in there. So
2 down for Robinson Cano, coming off the injury and playing pretty well since. Got 13 homers on the year, hitting at .260. And part of the deal that saw him and Edwin Diaz come over from the Seattle Mariners, and really Mets are anticipating big things from both of them. And this is knocked down at first by Freeman, covering Foltynewicz. Will get there in time for out number 3. It's a 1-2-3 bottom of the first inning, done with 1 from New York without a score. Beautiful night tonight in New York City. We played an inning between the Braves and Mets without a score. And it's on to the second inning, where Josh Donaldson leads it off here for the Braves. The free agent at the end of the year. And this guy, you know all about his offense, but this year defensively has been terrific, and I think one of the most underrated third basemen in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had the pleasure of, I don't know if it was a pleasure managing against him for a number of years when he was in Toronto, but he was an outstanding third baseman there with arm strength. But he ended up hurting his shoulder. He had some calf injuries, and a lot of people thought, you know, maybe he was getting a little bit of the thing, but he had a bad shoulder. You know, he wasn't throwing nearly as well, and there was some concern about that. And he wasn't moving as well because he had a couple calf injuries. But he's back up to par and just playing an outstanding third base and just a huge part of the lineup. I mean, he has 100 walks as well as the RBI production and the home runs, and he's been really durable this year.
Brian Snitker said he's the best third baseman he's ever seen on a day-to-day basis. And he's been in the Braves organization a long time. Saw Chipper Jones, Terry Pendleton. He's been amazed by. That's what he said he was most surprised about with Donaldson is his defense and, like you said, Joe, his arm strength.
Well, I mean, we're a little partial to him because he was a catcher, Brian. So he had to have some arm strength, you know, to.
He made the right decision, though.
Yeah, I think so, because he's put up huge numbers and just been an outstanding player for a number of years.
7 home runs this year, 94 runs batted in.
And he's got good knees.
Hitting on a 2-2 from Steven Matz. A little on the inconsistent side this year for Matz. He comes in individually at 10-10 with a 4.37 earned run average. And for Matz, he's lost each of his last 2 starts, allowing 13 runs over the last 9 innings, going 0-2 with an ERA of 13. This is out to Rosario. And Donaldson's out number 1 of the second inning. Now, he likes pitching here at Citi Field.
Yeah, sometimes you try to make sense of these type of things, AJ. You see his ERA in his 16 starts at 2.47 at home. In the road, he has really scuffled. He's actually pitched well against the Braves on the road in Atlanta, but for the most part, he is not good on the road. And, you know, as a manager, you're always trying to figure out what can we do different. Is it his routine where he warms up on the road, or what can we do different? And they got to figure that out.
Well, he's too good.
Yeah.
His stuff is too good. It should play just as well in any park, not just here at Citi Field. But we talked to him. I've done a couple games with Steven Matz now, and we've talked to him about his routine. He's tried everything. He's tried coming in later from the bullpen. He's tried getting up, sitting down like he's simulating sitting down and going to the second inning to come out. He's trying. You can't explain it. There's a lot of guys that have had trouble in the first inning, and also guys that have trouble at home, guys that have trouble on the road. Whatever it is, they try everything. When you're on the road, he'll come in like right from the bullpen, like he's a home game, going right to the mound. He's tried it all, and you can't figure it out. He can't figure it out. Mickey Callaway can't figure it out.
Well, I love that he got back into the count with that 1-0 curveball to Markakis, and Markakis took it. Then he came back with it and was not able to throw it for a strike. But to me, the key for this kid is command of that fastball, because he's got a good fastball, but he misses with it. And there's an outstanding fastball. He just missed below the zone, and you see the eye of Markakis, who's always had a great eye. But this guy, I believe, has the ability to take the next step and be a really, really good starter in New York for a while.
He's lost 4 of 5 starts against the Braves this year, and a walk here to Markakis with 1 down. First free pass served up by Matz in his outing.
Well, that's one of the things the Braves are really good at. They're second in the National League in base on balls, and it's because of the patience of guys like Markakis and Donaldson and Freeman. Only Milwaukee has walked more, and because of that, they're second on base. So okay, on base. If you guys got guys always on base, you're going to score a lot of runs, and that's why their offense is so dangerous, because of the patience of their hitters.
Here's Adam Duvall with one out and Markakis at first. 254, 9 homers, 18 runs batted in for Duvall. We saw Markakis, who is back after the wrist injury, and he's been hitting at .333, 14 for 42, 7 RBIs in 10 games back after the wrist scenario. They kept him out of a good chunk of the year, but he is a guy that is healthy right now, unlike some of these other Braves getting ready for the postseason.
Nick Markakis is a natural-born hitter. He could sit out for 2-3 months, come right back, boom, barrel. He just has the ability to put the barrel of the bat on a baseball. And if you throw this kid, he's not a kid anymore, but if you throw Nick Markakis a breaking ball in the zone, he is going to hit it, and he's going to hit it hard somewhere and do damage with it. It's incredible. Playing with him for 2 years, I knew he was a good player. Then watching him for 2 years every day, he's a lot better than I thought he was.
And he's a guy who wants to be in there every day too.
Yeah, he played in the first 104 games of the season. He didn't start every game, but he believes that he trains to play every day. And now we have a lot of analytics that talk about giving guys certain days off, and how many days in a row should they play. Do you see him getting tired? Managers might give, but he says he trains to play every day, and at 35 years old, he is doing that. I tell you what he's great at doing. He manipulates the barrel. He has the ability. There's a wild pitch there.
Gets away from Rivera. Markakis to move up 90 feet to second base.
Markakis has the ability to take a fastball middle in, and if you're shading him one way, he'll hit it the opposite way to beat you. He did it to Stroman last night for an RBI, but I tell you what, he's an incredible player. And I tell you what, the Braves have a nice little platoon thing going between Duvall and Joyce here. Joyce has had an outstanding season. Duvall, who's come up, has had a really big season. And I think sometimes you forget about Adam Duvall, who hit 30-plus homers in 2016 and 17 with the Cincinnati Reds.
This year, 9 homers, 18 runs batted in. A chance here with runner in scoring position. He carves one foul and stays at 2-2.
Well, Duvall was in AAA a bunch this year. He came up and he was on fire.
Yeah.
For about 10 days, he was the best hitter going in all of baseball. He's come back down a little bit to reality, but you put this guy up there against a left-handed pitcher, he's going to give you a quality at bat.
Well, maybe that's the key in the Braves organization. Go down to AAA for a while. Fulte went down. He came back on fire. You got Duvall, who's tearing it up. There's Joyce, who's done a great job against right-handed hitters. Over a 400 on-base percentage, productive.
Yeah, the guys that have gone to Gwinnett have come back very, very strong.
Hey, what do you say we go to Gwinnett for a week?
I'm not going to Gwinnett.
Oh.
Was that an option at one point?
No. But as a player, you don't want to go to AAA. But if you go down and you look at it as a positive, like Fultonevich and Duvall did, I'm sure they were very angry when they came into him and said, "Hey, take Fultonevich. He was an all-star, started game 1 of the playoffs for me. Hey, you're going to AAA. What?"
Duvall strikes out looking. Shakes his head as he walks away with the third K of the night for Steven Matz, 2 down.
I tell you what, that almost has to be an impossible pitch to hit, because you see how high it is, and you're saying, oh, there's no way this ball is going to come down. You see the curveball there. Starts, almost chest high, and then it drops in there for a strike. Hitters just don't expect it. I mean, you see that's above his chest, and then it's going to come down and just catch the top of the zone. And it's a really good job by Rene Rivera catching it deep, AJ, so it appears to be lower for the umpire than it really is.
2 down. Markakis at second brings up Brian McCann. Remember, McCann added to the Houston Astros really as a veteran presence for their run to a World Series championship, and same kind of thing here, coming back to the Braves at this stage of his career. They're hoping for the same kind of leadership from him.
Well, he has a great presence behind home plate with the young pitchers, and I remember having him in New York, and I just remember how he was so good with Dellin Betances, and he was so good with so many of our young pitchers that he gave them a confidence that everything was going to be okay, and just, I got you, I'm going to take care of you. And I think he does that here in Atlanta as well.
Takes a hack and finds himself down 1-2.
So you might ask, why is Brian McCann playing tonight? You have a right-handed hitter in Flowers, a catcher on the bench. They're more, they catch certain pitchers. And neither one of them has hit left-handers this year. Flowers are right-handed. He hasn't hit left-handers, either his Brian McCann, but they're more who's ever pitching catches.
The old personal catcher trick.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, right, you talk about, splitting time. Brian McCann has 273 at bats, and Flowers has 271. It's pretty fair.
He bats here with 2 down. Markakis with his walking lead off second base. That's slowed it up with a man on here and going back and forth now with that runner at second base. They change up the signs here. And now the inning continues. Billy Hamilton waiting on deck here for Atlanta.
I know the one thing with a guy like Markakis on base, and they may have done it very discreetly, but with him on second, I'm changing the signs every 3 pitches with him on second base, because he's just seen too much over the years, and with 2,400 plus hits, he's been on second base a long time in his career, and he'll pick up sequences pretty quickly.
That's ball 4 in the second walk of the inning and of the outing allowed by Steven Matz. So 2 on with 2 down. Well, a quick programming update. Unfortunately, Dish and Sling have dropped many Fox stations, including FS1, meaning you won't be able to watch the MLB playoffs starting this Friday on FS1. Make sure you have a chance to make other plans to see all the MLB playoff games you love. Call or visit the website seen here for the latest information. 2 on, 2 down, and Billy Hamilton coming up. Jumps back out of the way. Ball 1.
There's 2 outs here, and you talk about what speed can do for you. Infielders in the middle are basically playing almost double play depth, because they worry if he hits a slow roller, you're not going to have a chance to get him out. So in most instances, you see the shortstop back near the grass. Not with Billy Hamilton's speed.
Yeah, but see, I'd move him back.
I would too, because you got the pitcher on deck. You should be able to get maybe a force at second with Brian McCann.
That was more my thinking.
Yeah.
You got BMAC at first, who's, as his buddy Jeff Francoeur says, isn't exactly the fastest guy on the planet. So back your middle, back everybody up. And if Billy Hamilton wants to bunt and take a single, hey, you get the pitcher, get him out, you're out of the inning. That's the difference in the National League. When is that pitcher up?
This will go to the backstop, and the runners will move along. So the second wild pitch of this inning uncorked by Matz, and it puts Markakis at third, McCann at second.
Well, there's the inconsistency in his fastball. He was trying to go in with this fastball, and he doesn't drive it in. You see, he does not finish this pitch. He kind of stands straight up and down, and he throws this ball up and away, and that's a miss. And that's tough on a catcher when it's that big of a miss, and you're thinking, well, the catcher should have had it. That's 95 miles an hour. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of time, and you're expecting it inside, and he throws it up and away. He's telling him, take a deep breath, make a pitch here. And these are always the interesting situations with the pitcher on deck, but Matt's a pretty good hitter. Fulton-Evans, not so much so. So you would think, do not give in here. Take your chances with Fulton.
Fulton-Evans hitting at .061 this year. 2 for 38 at the plate. As Matz is going to get a visit now from Rene Rivera. He's trying to coach him from behind the dish now out there in person.
Fulton-Evans' first at bat, I was there. Gets called up, gets the first at bat. I think it was the bases loaded. Rips a double into the gap. First pitch, I think he saw.
Really?
And we're like, ooh, this guy can hit. And then he went on to strike out like the next 40 at bats.
They got a scout report quick.
He fooled us.
That didn't take long.
Now they're going to intentionally put him on. Down to first base goes Billy Hamilton. So that's technically the third walk of this inning allowed by Matz to load up the bases with 2 down, and they'll go after Fulton-Evans here.
And I almost feel like sometimes he has better command of his cutter than his fastball. So if I'm facing Fulton here, I'm throwing him a cutter first pitch because I know he's sitting fastball.
There are the numbers for Fulton-Evans. Mentioned 2 for 38 at the plate. Matz has had to throw a lot of pitches here early. Inning and 2/3. He's 42 pitches deep into his outing already.
Well, there's another big miss with his fastball where he's trying to go in and he doesn't finish the pitch.
Wild swing and a miss at that fastball.
Is that what it looked like that first at bat?
Yeah, except he connected.
Oh, okay.
He connected with it.
And where did he hit it?
Left center.
Wow.
We were all on the bench like, what does this guy got? You watch these pitchers take BP. He can't hit. He can't hit. First pitch he sees, whack into the gap.
Can he run?
A little bit. He's a big guy. He's got some long strides.
Went around for strike 2.
You know, if you're in this situation, right, and he's missing that much with his fastball, are you calling something else?
Normally, yes, but with the swings Foltynewicz is having, I'd probably stay right there and throw another high one. Now, you throw him a curveball, you hang it, and he hits it somehow. You're beating yourself over the head. Why did I call that? But you throw a high fastball, after those 2 swings, he hits it.
That's strike 3. Got him looking, and Matt's out of the bases loaded jam in the second inning. Took a while, but he got it done. Scoreless from New York. This is New York, and it's game 2 of a 3-game series between the Braves and Mets. Scoreless. We head to the bottom of the second inning. To join MLB in celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month between September 15th and October 15th, MLB and its clubs will shine a spotlight on the contributions to baseball made by Latino players past and present. Follow Los Mayors and MLB on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for full coverage. It's on to the bottom of the second inning back at Citi Field. Foltynewicz enjoyed a 1-2-3 first that included a strikeout. Pete Alonso will deal with Michael Conforto, J.D. Davis, and Ahmed Rosario here in the bottom of the second inning. Well, Steven Matz just got out of a bases loaded 2-outs jam by striking out Foltynewicz. Remains scoreless, and here's Conforto's put together a very good season. Power numbers especially, 33 home runs, 92 runs batted in. Career high in runs scored. And I think he's only going to get better. He's coming back from a torn labrum in his shoulder, and he played half the year last year, and he's played the whole year this year. But I think he'll continue to get better. I think he's the right fielder of the future here for a while, and I like what he brings to the table.
Well, they have a nice core if you think about it. Alonso, Conforto, Rosario. Apparently your name Cano. Your name has to end in an O.
Yeah. You go J.D. Davis. He's had an outstanding year. I mean, I think they have a really nice core. And McNeil, who's hurt. They have on-base guys. They have power guys. Robbie Cano hits next year like he did the second half of this year. I mean, they have a really good line. And Memo as well. You know, he's a real on-base guy.
That is strike 3 to Conforto's second strikeout for Foltynewicz. Well, we're talking about Foltynewicz and his route back to the big leagues with more. Let's send it down to J.P. Morosi.
Don, in late June, Foltynewicz told us that he had tears in his eyes when he first learned of his demotion down to AAA Gwinnett, but he quickly turned it into a positive in 2 different ways. Number 1, on the field, better command and action on his slider. Also, off the field, more time with his family, including his son, Jet, and daughter, Lola. And Don, he also gave a lot of credit to the field staff and the players at Gwinnett. We always hear AAA is such a hard place to manage, hard place to play. Everyone believes they should be here. But he said manager Damon Berryhill, pitching coach Mike Maroth deserve a lot of credit for his transformation. And certainly, Don, that great DNA, the Braves culture, those 14 straight division titles, the farm system always the bedrock of this organization.
There's no question, and you look at what he has done since coming back. It has been amazing, nothing short of amazing. But do you think the injury is a big part of the way that the season started for him?
I do. I think he was behind, and I think he was afraid to let it go. He was afraid to extend it. I mean, you see the movement that he has on his fastball. He was missing his spots terribly. He was hanging his breaking ball. But this has just been a completely different guy. He got a chance to go to AAA and just kind of slow things down and reset and work through things and get that extension back. And he's come back, and, you know, he's been an all-star pitcher the second half.
That's the thing. He was an all-star the year before. He starts game 1 of the postseason last year for the Braves. It had to be a shock for him that they were even going to do this and send him to AAA.
Did you ever get sent down, AJ? Once you got up?
I went up and down. I came up 98, 99, and went up and down. 2000, the next year, after being up and down 99, I actually started in AA and had to work my way back up.
And how difficult was that for you?
Oh, it sucked. I was like, why?
Could you sugarcoat it a little bit?
I honestly,
What do you really think?
you contemplate just not wanting to go.
Right.
You really, really contemplate not wanting to go. And I had been to AA the 2 years prior. Got there, was only there a couple months, went right to AAA, right to the big leagues, and I was like, why am I going back here? But looking back on it, it was one of the better things that ever happened to me, because it kind of made me mad, and it made me figure out what I had to do to stay in the big leagues. And then after that, once I got up, I never went back down. But it took some soul searching.
And that was part of that great group that came up together with the Twins, correct?
Yeah, but they were all in the big leagues, see, and I was down in AA. I'm like, well, hey, what did I mess up here? But like I said, it was hard. You get that news.
Runner goes. This one grounded back up the middle. Out at second. Yes, on to first. Not in time. Nice play right there by Albies as he had to kind of find the bag with his foot behind him, and he did get it there just in time of the arrival of J.D. Davis for the second out of the inning.
Well, I mean, you look at this extension, he's trying to stay on the bag, and he understands he has to go back and tag the bag, and he doesn't panic. And I think Ron Washington deserves a lot of credit for the defense within this infield. I think he's done a great job. You have him there. You have Walt Weiss, who was a great shortstop. They worked very hard at their craft, and Ozzie Albies is an outstanding second baseman. But getting back to that, you know, Mike Foltynewicz talked about he shed a tear. I did, because it's one thing to be in the minor leagues, but once you get to the big leagues and understand how good it is, you don't ever want to go back. And when you get sent down, I cried on my mother-in-law's shoulders because I didn't know if I'd ever be back. And you dream of this your whole life. And you know, my fiance, who's been my wife of 30 years now, helped me through that situation. But I mean, it's really tough to go to the big leagues and get sent down. It's
So I'm sure as a manager, every time you were doing that with a player, it crossed your mind.
Grim Reaper. That's all I was the Grim Reaper. And that is the reason I hate spring training. Because you think about it, you go to spring training with 65 guys. You're sending 40 people down. And there are kids that know they're going back to A-ball. They know it. But you still feel bad because it's like you're the guy that's shattering their dreams. And I used to hate it. I called myself the Grim Reaper.
You also hated being the player and getting the tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
The manager needs to see you.
Well,
you know, you have an idea because you get the meal money packets. So when the meal money's up, you know a cut's coming.
Yeah.
And you're just counting one more meal. One more meal money, please. One more meal money packet. I just want one more of those meal money packets.
Yeah, that meal money in the big leagues is so good when you're a young player.
Oh, man.
Runner takes off and on a hop throw
might
down
be out.
there. He is out. Nice play. Couple of nice plays in the inning by Albies, and that time applying the tag. Rosario wants him to review it. He thought he'd beat it, but they will not. On a hop, McCann gets it there, and Albies does the rest. Scoreless as we head to the top of the third inning. The Braves and Mets from Citi Field, and Jeff McNeil kind enough to join us from the Mets dugout. Jeff, that'd be really frustrating the way your season ends up ending here with a fracture.
Yeah, you know, a little unfortunate. You know, got hit by a pitch the other day and broke my wrist, and you know, just an unfortunate way to end the year.
So, Jeff, this is Joe Girard. You're going to have surgery on Tuesday?
Yeah, I got a doctor's appointment Monday, and then I think the plan is surgery on Tuesday, and hopefully recover quick.
Yeah, it's never a good way to end a season having surgery 2 days after. But, I mean, to me, that was always kind of the scary thing of facing pitchers in September that don't have a lot of experience and sometimes can get caught up in the moment, and there's some wildness to them. And the young man hit you. I'm sure he didn't mean to hit you, but only had 13 appearances, and somebody's irritating you. Who's irritating you?
That's Gisellman, DeGrom, and Wilson Ramos. But yeah, you know, it was a good at bat I was taking, and got to 3-2 count. I knew he threw a bunch of sliders, and you know, a 3-2 pitch, I thought it was going to be a slider, and you know, kind of stayed in there, and was a fastball up and in, and you know, just unfortunate.
Jeff, AJ Pierzynski here. I actually had the same thing happen to me. I got my left wrist though on the lefty. You're trying to stay in, like you said, looking for a slider, kind of diving out over the plate, and the ball runs up and in. You start the swing. Next thing you know, wham! Break your wrist. What'd they say? Timetable wise, obviously you'd be ready for spring training, but you know, no golf for you this winter.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I think they said, you know, six to 8 weeks, and I mean, hopefully, I'll get a little bit of golf maybe later in the off season. But the focus is, get healthy and be ready for spring training.
Well, personally for you, coming off a very good year this year.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on how things went this year for yourself, and it seemed to go well wherever you played.
Yeah, had a good year. Played a bunch of positions. Swung the bat well, and hopefully come in healthy next year and do the same thing over.
So, how long did it take you to get comfortable in left field and right field as you moved all around? Because you're a second baseman by trade.
Didn't take me long. It's something I did in college, so it's something I was used to. So I mean, basically spring training. After spring training, I felt comfortable and felt comfortable ever since.
As comfortable as you are right now with DeGrom and Ramos going sunflower seeds.
They're wearing me out over here. So I'm trying to watch the game, and they're all pointing around and give me a hard time.
So you're known as a snapper, also a snapper when I played. Tell me about it. Tell me why you snap. I know why I did it. It was just frustration.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to kind of show people you care, and it was one way for me to get fired up. What's your reason behind it? And Mickey Callaway said, hey, he's all for it.
Yeah, it's just something I've always done, and fiery guy, get frustrated, never want to get out. So just kind of helps motivate me for that next at bat, and just try to do better.
Well, what's your worst one? I know once I hit myself in the helmet and cut my nose up pretty good, and had a bloody nose in Double-A.
So that's what happened.
I learned my lesson on throwing my helmet after that, at least in the helmet rack. So what's your worst story?
I haven't had anything too bad. I had one in Double-A that was pretty funny. The guys always gave me a hard time. I hit my helmet on the ground and came back and got me in the cheek, but it wasn't too bad.
So was my good friend Paul O'Neill your favorite player growing up?
No.
Because his snaps were legendary.
Were they good?
He used to beat up the water cooler, and he would yell at the pitcher. And, how would you react, right? So Don Zimmer, who was Joe Torre's bench coach for a long time, used to needle Paul O'Neill. So Paul O'Neill would come in, slam the bat, slam his helmet in the helmet rack, and be walking by Don Zimmer. So what if Jim Riggleman, as you're walking by Jim Riggleman, say, hey, I know a guy in Cincinnati who would give you a concrete chop for $300 a week if you don't want to play this game. What do you think?
Yeah.
What would you say to Jim Riggleman?
Don't even know. I mean, just something I wouldn't do.
So it's lined into left for Freeman, and he's aboard here with 2 down in the inning. Well, tell us a little bit about this season for you as far as the Mets go. Second half much better, and things were going well here. What happened here, and why are you not going to the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, we started off the year pretty hot. We had a really good team. I think June was tough for us. Kind of had a rough June, and just were never really able to recover. I mean, we got a bunch of talent on this team. Pitching, starting pitching staff was great this year, and they gave us a bunch of good starts. And I think we just needed everything to click at once. Kind of for the whole year. We got it late in the year. Everything started to click, and we started to play really good baseball. Fight our way back into it, but I think it's just something we need to do all year consistently, and hopefully get in the playoffs next year.
With the pitch here is Josh Donaldson on a pitch in, and he is none too pleased as he heads down to first base with put 2 on with 2 down.
Well, he brings intensity a lot like you do, Jeff. and this is the last thing you want with 2. Oh, look at that. Thank God it hit that elbow pad, but it got part of his rib cage that you want with 2 games left, and you're going to the playoffs on Thursday. That hurts, and that's frustration, being hit this time of year more than anything else. But I tell you what, I think what was great about your year, even though you guys aren't going to the playoffs, you brought life back to this city and to this field for what you guys did in the month of July and August in the run, and it had to be a great experience for all you young players, because there's a really good young core here to go through something like this, like you and Alonso and Rosario and Nimmo and all these young kids, Davis, that should help you next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, love all the young guys who are here. They're playing great. Pete's incredibly fun to watch. I mean, he's having a tremendous year. I'm rooting for him. Hopefully he gets that, that 53rd, the record-breaking home run. And but yeah, I mean, all the young guys here. We love playing here. We love to be here. And I think we can do some good things for this team for a long time.
Is there anything? I never had to wear a sling. So is there anything that you can't do that you right-handed? You brush your teeth right-handed?
I can't tie my shoes. My shoes are untied right now. I just slipped them on.
You got slip-ons?
Yeah, they're basically slip-ons right now.
Get DeGrom to come over and tie your shoes.
You want to come tie my shoe, DeGrom? No, he's good. I can't tie my shoe. It's tough. I can't, cut up the meat. It's tough for me to eat. So, it'll take some getting used to.
Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Scoreless as we head to the bottom of the third. Bottom of the third inning back in New York. A scoreless game and a liner into right center field off the bat of Todd Frazier. And a base hit to get things started in the bottom of the third inning.
All right, I gotta go, guys.
Dallas Keuchel.
I just jinxed a no-hitter.
Oh, boy. Dallas Keuchel joins us. I think he's going to stay with us. Dallas, we had you on earlier this year, right before you had made your first appearance with the Braves, and you thought it was a really good plan. You were really excited about being here. How do you feel about it now after all this time and the great success you've enjoyed this year?
I feel like I've thrown a full year already, but that's how much fun we've had since I signed. But I'm not used to only pitching a half a year, and this was something out of the ordinary, but I'm glad I'm here, and these guys made it all worthwhile.
Dallas, this is Joe Girardi. Obviously, you weren't signed coming out of the offseason, and a lot of people scratched their heads. And I'm just wondering how you dealt with that, being home, February, March, April, May, June, and how you got through that experience.
Yeah, it was tough, and the competitor in me always wants to throw from spring training on, and like I said, this is out of the ordinary for me. And one of the only joys of it was I was in Newport Beach and sunny and 75 every day by the water. But I was getting ready. I was throwing my own spring training and then I guess my own start of the regular season. So even though I'm only 19 starts in with the Braves, I feel like I'm 30 plus starts in through the entire season.
Well, from what I understand, you were facing hitters. So which kids were you wearing out down in Newport Beach? Was there a high school that you went to?
Well, I faced numerous colleges, a couple JUCOs, and honestly, some of those kids had their days off me. I felt like I didn't have it anymore. But in those type of atmospheres, it's hard to really get the competitive juices flowing.
Back goes Duvall, and that ball is gone. Two-run shot for Rene Rivera, and the Mets strike first on top, 2-0.
What was that, a slider?
Yeah, he hung one to Frazier, and it looked like he hung one to Rene Rivera.
Yeah.
Hanging sliders. Dallas, as you know, they usually go pretty far.
Yeah, they do. I know all about that.
Well, Dallas, since you've joined the Braves, you really had a lot of success with Tyler Flowers. When he's back behind the plate, I played with Tyler in Chicago and then also in Atlanta. Is it his big head behind the plate that's the target for you? Because his head is like Bruce Bochy size.
Now you're getting on two people.
Wow.
Two people? Who's the other one?
Bruce Bochy. Killing everybody.
He calls himself the magician back there, and like any other pitcher, any other starting pitcher, I feel like I want every pitch that's close, and I usually stare at him. It was a good play by Cakes. We got a really good outfield. Like any starting pitcher, I want every pitch, and I'll stare at him if I think it's close. And when we come back after the innings, he'll always be like, "Hey, don't let my glove fool you. That pitch was about 4 inches inside." and then I'm like, "Okay, man, all right. I can't get mad at the umpire then." So I appreciate that.
How fired up are you for postseason play here now? Now getting right down to it.
Well, once you get a taste of the first time, you want it every season, and I had a chance to sign with a couple of up-and-coming teams, a couple teams that were on the last leg of the rebuild, but I didn't want to sacrifice a season or two to them not making the playoffs, and that's why I ultimately kind of decided to stay put until the qualifying offer came off, and I mean, that's a whole nother thing, but the playoff teams came calling, and I targeted the Braves as a good sign as well.
Tell Julio that I said move his Feo self out of the way.
Hey, AJ said move your Feo self out of the way.
There's 3.
I don't even know.
He completely ignored you.
Yeah, he did. He's in his own little world right now. But yeah, I mean, this team's incredible. It reminds me of.
Now do it. Now tell him.
Hey.
He knows what he's doing.
AJ said, "Move your face." But I mean, this is the type of team we have. We got a bunch of great character guys and obviously extremely talented dudes, and it's going to be fun. I'll tell you that. And I think the guys last year that got a taste of the playoffs are going to be key components of this year's run. So it's going to be the race to 11, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, Pete Alonso coming up here trying to break a record. You were part of it last night. This guy has been pretty special to watch this year.
I appreciate you let me know
Sorry
about that home run last night.
I just pointed it out. I didn't really want to bring it up. But.
And the funny thing is guys now, I mean, especially with Pete, he's so strong. I felt like he didn't really barrel it that well or as much as he's used to, and the ball just flies off his bat. But I mean, what a treat. The fans love him here, and that's what you want to see in baseball is this type of atmosphere for players.
We're getting a look at the pitch. He just fouled off right here off himself painfully.
Off his back knee.
I would say that's letting the ball get deep.
Now, Dallas, he hit, sorry to bring it up again, but he hit a cutter off you last night, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't my best cutter. I felt like I still got it on a little bit. He's just so strong that he was able just to kind of push it out there and get it up enough.
But you have to pitch him inside at some point, correct?
Yeah.
Either lefty or righty, you have to show him something in because he's so strong. If he just keeps getting extended, you kind of have no chance.
Yeah, I've had some decent success on him with my two-seam front hip, and when it's on, he doesn't hit it, but he was waiting. It seems like he was waiting for a cutter or something not as sharp, and sure enough, he got
high fly ball into center field. This one is back at the wall. It is gone. A new rookie single-season home run king as Pete Alonso moves past Aaron Judge and stands alone with 53 home runs in his rookie season. Dallas Keuchel, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
53 home runs for Pete Alonso, Major League rookie record. And what a moment in New York tonight.
It's such a great story. AJ talked about it in the Open that he came as a non-roster player and wasn't going to start the year with the New York Mets. They were concerned about his defense a little bit. A professor told him that his dream of playing in the big leagues when he wrote a paper his freshman year at the University of Florida and being married and a good father wasn't necessarily realistic. Here's a kid that just hit 53 homers, has embraced every minute of it, and the fans have loved it.
This one jolted to center and backpedaling to the dirt of the track is Billy Hamilton to make the catch. We have seen history tonight in New York as Pete Alonso has hit his 53rd home run of his rookie season and now stands alone in that category. 3-0 Mets as Pete Alonso has made history, and it has just been dreamlike for him this season. It just keeps getting better.
History. He's about to cry on the field. The story of Pete Alonso and this year with the Mets, you couldn't write it any better. Coming up, making the team, winning the home run derby, and now he's crying on the field after breaking the all-time rookie home run record.
Well, I just think it shows you the emotion in the game and how much he's put into this. I mean, you think about the days of playing in your backyard and doing something, you know, people probably said you wouldn't be able to do, and as a rookie, I mean, it's not like he had a taste last year and knew what he was getting into when he walked into this year. Because sometimes guys will get a September call up. I mean, he's hit from day one. I mean, when you look at his home run totals from month to month, in April 9, May 10, June 9, July, his rough month, he hit 6.
This one is to right deeply and at the wall. That ball is going to be off the glove of Conforto. And thinking 3 is Duvall. He's headed in that direction, and he'll get there standing. Well, he's very emotional in between innings as well, as you might imagine, as his teammates got around him coming off to the dugout after hitting the home run.
Well, he's thinking about all the people that have helped him throughout his career.
Yeah, I
They're
agree.
all when you have special moments, Joe, you had special moments, catching perfect game and doing things, winning World Series. The first thing that runs through your head is not like, wow, I'm so happy for myself. You think of your mom and your dad, and you think of all the people that helped you, your coaches. And he's going all the way back to Little League. And I know this. The scout that signed me, a guy named Brad Weitzel with the Twins, was his coach at the University of Florida. Somewhere right now, he was the assistant coach, the main guy who recruited him to Florida. And Pete and I have talked about Brad and what he means to Pete, and we talked about it today. And I guarantee you there's a big smile on Brad Weitzel's face right now, and he's thinking about him, along with his mom and his dad and everyone else. But it's just an incredible moment for the game and for him.
Yeah, as you're talking about all the people that helped him, you think about all the uniforms that your parents wash, all the BP that coaches throw you, all the work that everyone puts into your life to give you an opportunity to do this. Now, he had to do a ton of work to ever get to this level, and so much of the credit goes to him. But as AJ's saying, I think he's reflecting on all the goodness that he got from other people to help him reach his dream.
This one is popped up back at third. Todd Frazier onto the outfield grass and makes the catch for out number 1. I'll get another look at number 53 for Alonso.
There's that one that you were talking about, Groove, right down the middle.
Right down the middle. But Pete Alonso, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, we've been fortunate to get to talk to him. This kid he's a little bit goofy, right? But in a good way.
Polar Bear Pete.
I mean, he's amazing. Just the way he embraces playing baseball. I mean, he loves baseball.
Every minute of it.
I mean, every part of it. A lot of people, great players, I'm sick of the media. I don't want to talk. Every time you walk in, hey, I'll talk to you guys. I'll do on camera stuff, whatever you want. And he embraces playing in New York and being a part of the Mets. And the Mets have been looking for that piece, that superstar piece as a position player. And they found it in number 20, the Polar Bear, Pete Alonso.
And when you talk about looking for that piece that's the face of a franchise, he's extremely lovable, right? Because of the way he plays the game, the enthusiasm. I mean, it's like a little kid playing out there that just hit a home run and maybe getting a snow. I mean, that's how happy he is. And he's a guy that they can look to for a long time.
He's like when you were playing Little League and you hit a home run, your parents would take you to getting pizza after the game. You're like, yeah, I get pizza. I hit a home run. Or
it's that kind of look.
I mean,
he had that kind of look too at the home run derby.
It's genuine. It's like he cannot believe where he is. He's living a dream, and he's doing it a lot better than most people can.
Better than any rookie's ever done.
This one is ground foul. That was my next question to you, Joe Girardi. You were there.
Yeah.
For Judge's 52 home runs. How similar was that season for him?
Very similar. Judge got hot late. I mean, you talk about Pete Alonso. He's hit 11 this month, in a month where you would think the first time a guy's played in September, he might be getting tired. Not Pete Alonso. Aaron Judge had all the walks and you know, had a OPS over 1,000, but two incredible players in New York, and both of them somewhat the face of the franchises.
Tonight's telecast is sponsored by State Farm. Talk to an agent today. And by Papa John's. Large meats or works pizza, just $12. Euphoria for Pete Alonso.
I mean, if that doesn't look like a polar, look at this play. He thought it was a foul ball. It looked like a polar bear just got a salmon in the lake.
A triple for Duvall starts the inning, but they can't score him. Mets have a 3-0 lead. It's champ versus champ as Harold the Truth Spence Jr. takes on Showtime Sean Porter in a World Championship unification bout at Staples Center. Was champion Anthony Durrell defends his title against David Benavides. Tonight starts at 9, 6 Pacific live on pay-per-view or order now on the Fox Sports app, so you still have time to order. Now the postseason chase, every play matters, and the MLB At-Bat app delivers with live baseball on your favorite devices. Follow the races to postseason clinches with pitch tracking, video highlights, up to the moment standings, and much more. Download MLB At-Bat today. The reason everybody came here tonight was to see Pete Alonso do what he just did.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you think about late September, you're not in the race, and you see the crowd tonight. And this is all about Pete Alonso. I mean, I'm not so sure how many people they'd have here had he not been chasing this record. That's what he's meant to this franchise. I tell you what, we got to get you one of those polar bear hats from San Diego in the winter.
It'd be a great look. Michael Conforto leading it off here in the 4th inning, a strikeout victim in the 2nd inning. That's so, by the way, enjoying a 3-0 advantage. There they are, Polar Bear Pete hats.
And we showed McNeil. We showed those two ladies with the hat on. There was McNeil in the front. I think you're more of a squirrel guy, Don. We should get you a squirrel. They got to make a squirrel hat for McNeil and the polar bear for Pete. But put a little squirrel hat on McNeil in front of the two ladies.
You know, that could keep your partner's head warm in San Diego. Mud cat.
It's a big head too.
Now you're getting on guys' heads.
Well, hey.
Might need to get two and sew them together.
I don't think it's new information. Michael Conforto leading it off, then Davis and Rosario here in the inning.
You know what's great about this too is you'll have people, I don't know, 35, 40,000 people that were at this ballpark tonight talk about being at this ballpark when he hit the record-breaking.
Whether they were or not.
12 years ago, where were you? And he's going to sign a lot of ticket stubs. You know, you think about all these people are going to keep their ticket stubs, and he's going to have the opportunity to sign, you know, all those ticket stubs, and it's going to be a fun winter for him.
Swing and a miss for Conforto, and he strikes out. That's 4 Ks now for Foltynewicz. One down here in the 4th inning. Second time Conforto's down by way of the K. Well, you're talking about tickets, and after the Home Run Derby, the Mets did a special thing. After the Home Run Derby special offer, the further Pete advances, the more money you save. Well, he advanced as far as you can. He won the thing. So 80% off some tickets after that. Mets.com, and that was a great promotion. Worked out for the Mets. Well, maybe it did work out for the Mets because they were handing out tickets at a much cheaper price.
Now the question is, was that for any game, any seat? Because if you could get 80% off the seats right behind home plate, it's pretty darn. I mean, it's a good deal anyways. But if you can get those ones right behind home plate, 80% off.
Pretty good chunk of change right there.
Even Don Orsillo will pay for that.
Exactly.
If you get to eat that food underneath.
That's what I'm thinking.
Woo-hoo.
Good to come up in the club.
That's what I'm thinking about. Maybe some lamb chops down there.
Come up in the club.
Now 53 home runs down for Alonso. One out here in the 4th inning, and J.D. Davis walked the first time up.
I tell you what, he's been a great addition to this club. You know, you talk about the young pieces that he had. He was up and down with Houston the last couple of years, but you look at coming into tonight, he had 21 homers, has played really a pretty good left field, you know, for someone that didn't play a lot of outfield, had played infield. and he's adjusted. And again, it's another piece moving forward.
I found it interesting talking to Mickey Callaway today that you asked him, hey, is he a third baseman possibly next year? You're going to keep him in left field? And without hesitation, Mickey was like, he's our left fielder.
Yeah.
Going into next year. Not third base. No, he's left field. But
Well,
they have a lot of options next year with McNeil, with Nimmo, with Davis. Alonso obviously is stationed at first and Conforto in right field, but Rosario at shortstop. But Frazier being a free agent, who plays third?
Well, I think
Nimmo.
McNeil will play third, and you know, obviously, I think Jed Lowry will spell everyone around the infield at first, second, you know, third, and you can move McNeil to the outfield one day and put Jed at third, you know, that sort of thing. So they got to iron out their bullpen. That's the biggest thing. You need bounce back years from Diaz and Familia.
I just don't get it with Diaz. I really don't. The stuff that he has, what he was able to do in the American League last year. I mean, I'm sure the Mets feel the same way. They can't figure it out either. They would have a long time ago, but he's been a really big problem. And the blown saves this year for the Mets have been a huge problem. The reason they're not going to the postseason.
Yeah, you figure if Diaz has half the year that he had last year, they're probably a playoff team. And it was just such a struggle. It started off great. April was outstanding, and he kind of got in a rut and couldn't get out of it. And he allowed 15 home runs in the ninth inning. The Mets pitchers have allowed 30 home runs. I mean, think about that. And they're not even playing every ninth inning because there's times that they're on the road they don't have to pitch the ninth inning.
Right.
It's just incredible. It's probably something that the Mets won't see maybe for the next 50 years, giving up 30 home runs. But it happened to be this year.
And will it cost Mickey Callaway his job, I guess, is one of the bigger questions heading into tomorrow's last game of the year. Probably a better question for J.P. Morosi, but a tough situation right now for him under a lot of pressure. You know all about that working in New York.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of being a manager, and what you do is you block out the noise and just do your job. That's what you have to do, and make sure your team's prepared to play every day.
Well, he has stayed upbeat. We've talked to him, 4 or 5 times this year, and every time we've been with him at different parts of the year, he has stayed incredibly positive and good-natured, and really very fun to be around.
Every time we've talked to him, he's been great.
Awesome.
Not that my opinion matters a whole lot to the Mets, but he gives us the answers when we ask him questions. He never shies away from it. He's always got a smile on his face. He at least acts like he's happy to see us. Whether he is or not, I don't know. But
not everybody does that.
Exactly. At least he acts like he's happy to see us.
Anyone ever say "you guys" again?
Yes.
Yes, actually.
Billy Hamilton can fly, and he flies over and dives into the air to make that catch. He went a very long distance, like only Billy Hamilton can, from left center to right center, and then fully laying it out to make the grab. 3-0 Mets. Spectacular grab from Hamilton. 5th inning back at Citi Field with the Mets on top 3-0. And the top of the order, Dansby Swanson lead it off here for Atlanta. And a swing and a miss for strike one. More Steven Matz, who is now 73 pitches deep into his outing and enjoying a 3-0 advantage as he heads into the 5th. He's only given up 2 hits through the first 4 innings. And out of a bases loaded jam when he walked 3 in the 2nd inning on a strikeout of the opposing pitcher Mike Fultonevich. But other than that, has been very good in this game. Worked his way around a leadoff triple in the 4th inning by Adam Duvall, and this will be pitch 75 for Matz coming up. Skips in for ball 1.
Well, I look at this as a way for Steven Matz to finish the year off going in the right direction. He's really had a great second half until these last 2 starts where he struggled and given up a number of runs. But everyone wants to feel like you made progress during the course of the year. And you think about, well, my first half wasn't very good, but my second half was much better, and I'm going to carry it over. So for him, get through 6 innings, leave with a lead, and you had a good start, and it's a springboard for next year.
Yeah, this is all about finishing on a positive note, and he's able to strike out Swanson. That's 7 strikeouts now for Matz. But if you're just joining us in the bottom of the 3rd inning, Pete Alonso hit home run number 53 of his rookie season. parents, J.P. Morosi.
Thank you, Don. Joined now by some very special guests on this night. Haley Walsh, Pete Alonso's fiance, and Pete's parents, Pete and Michelle. Haley, when you heard the ball off the bat, what did you think?
I was like, that's out of here, and I was so happy for him because I'm happy he did it now instead of like waiting another 8 at-bats. I'm just happy now he can relax and just enjoy the rest of the season, and I'm really happy for him. It was like a surreal feeling just seeing it go, and it just like, I actually videoed it. I usually never video his at-bats because I get superstitious, but this time I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm happy I did. Now I have that forever,
So just among us, you can tell us now, how superstitious were you? How superstitious was Pete today?
We both are pretty superstitious. Little stitious is what Pete likes to call it. He says, we do little things, like I'll change seats sometimes throughout the game if he hasn't gotten a hit yet, or like I'll go up to the bathroom sometimes if I don't know, it's just little things that are silly, but it just works, I guess. We just, method of the madness, I guess. But
And 53 home runs later, Haley, how, if at all, has your fiance changed over this year?
he hasn't changed at all, which is remarkable. I mean, he is still so humble, and he still gets if someone recognizes him out and about, he's like, this is weird. Like, we're in Manhattan and people know who I am. This is just incredible. So, I mean, he hasn't changed. He's still the same Pete. I remember when I met him 4 years ago, and I don't think he'll ever change. It's just who he is. So, yeah.
So, Pete, Michelle, what were the Little League fields in Tampa, Florida that you were thinking back on as you watched your son round the bases?
Oh my gosh, it's all those fond memories that he fills us with are incredible. And when that ball was in mid-flight, it was all flashing in front of me, and it was like an out-of-body experience. It was just awesome.
Well, thinking from the Little League days, Pete used to coach Peter, so it was a special moment for me because all those buckets of balls that he used to pitch to him, and all those times just playing in the driveway and every day, it was not, you don't do it for this moment, but you do it for the fun of it, and it's great that he still has that joy right now that he did as a Little Leaguer.
Pete, you were a collegiate athlete yourself. You played football at Denison University, so you knew what it would take to succeed at a high level. This, of course, is an extraordinary level here in New York City. At what point in time coaching your son did you begin to think, hey, this could happen?
Pete always plays with his heart. He has since he's been a young boy. And whatever his passion would take him, wherever path he took, I knew he would be successful, whether it was going to be on the ball field or someplace else. So at the time, you didn't know it was going to be baseball. He played other sports. He was great in the classroom. So you just never know. And we just kept fueling where his passions and where his interests were, and here he is today. It's so surreal. It's hard to describe.
Michelle, the cameras caught Pete on the field afterward, wiping away tears. Is your son usually that emotional?
He's normally passionate. He's not moved to tears often because he has a lot of fun, but he's very serious about what he does, because what we do, we feel if anything that we do, if it's worth doing, that you do it well. So for him to feel that reward and be moved to tears, that warms my heart, because I was certainly bawling in my seat at the moment at the same time. It was a family cry fest.
Yes, it was.
Well, and you mentioned to me some of your superstitions. Can you share that with everyone before this game today?
Oh, yes. I can't go to a game without my dad. He used to tell Peter, no matter what, after every game, keep on swinging. So I have a locket with my dad's ashes in it, and whenever Peter's up at bat, I hold this locket tight, and I pray, and I talk to my dad, and whenever Peter gets a big hit, I hear my dad's laughter in my head, just like all the days when he was sitting next to me in the Little League fields.
And Pete, we know on Tuesday, Pete is going to go to the 9/11 Museum and donate those cleats he wore on 9/11. As a father, what does that mean to you?
That means the world. I mean, how Peter is, giving his heart to the people around him, is a great reward as a parent. And actually, it means more. It's more about his fabric and who he is than any home runs that he hits. It really is. The game is awesome. It's a great platform, but what he does off the field, I'm the most proud of as a parent, as a dad.
Having grown up in Lancaster, Ohio, you come now to New York. Your son is the talk of the town, a little more than 100 years after your father immigrated here from Spain. What does that mean to you?
It's just unbelievable, the full circle that has happened with my parents actually in Queens, and for Peter to end up here and doing what he's doing. You can't even write a script for that. It's unbelievable.
Pete, Michelle, Haley, thank you so much for your time. A special night here in Queens.
Beautiful night in New York and history made in New York, and it's Citi Field tonight for Pete Alonso. 53rd home run of his rookie season. New pitcher on now for the Atlanta Braves after 4 innings from Mike Foltynewicz. It is Max Fried who takes over here in the 5th. Another Brave starter as he piggybacks here in this one.
This is exactly what Brian Snitker said they were going to do. 4 or 5 out of Foltynewicz, and then bring Max Fried in right behind him. That's kind of their tune-up for the postseason. They're not sure who's going to start which game. Both these guys in line to possibly start a game. Against a more right-handed lineup, maybe in St. Louis, might see Foltynewicz. More lefty-heavy lineup in Milwaukee, you might see Max Fried. So just an opportunity for the Braves to get their guys one last tune-up before the regular season ends.
And here's the other thing, AJ. If he is the 2nd or the 4th starter or even the 3rd, it might be an instance where, hey, we might need you out of the bullpen the first 2 games, and as a lefty, a power lefty with a good breaking ball to face, I don't know, a really good left-hander. You see that really good curveball he has. He also has a slider that's new. So we want to get you used to getting ready to come out of the bullpen as well. I think it serves 2 purposes here.
Keuchel's going game 1. Foltynewicz most likely in game 2. And where does Fried fit in? He gets Soroka, who we've not talked about yet, coming off an incredible year himself. Todd Frazier leads it off here in the bottom of the 5th and waves at that pitch and strikes out. Here are the numbers on the guys we're talking about, the potential playoff starters, and Fried in the mix for that. But as you say, could end up in the bullpen too.
People are going to question why this guy, why that guy, why in that order. Well, the Braves will start at home against the Central winner, whether it's Milwaukee or St. Louis. You definitely have Keuchel go game 1. And Foltynewicz, if it's St. Louis, will probably go game 2 because they're right-hand heavy. Soroka pitches so great on the road. Well, the game 3 will be on the road. And then Max Fried, also on the road, has been pretty good. His ERA is a little high, but he gets wins on the road. And he's pitched well against St. Louis. If it is St. Louis, he'll pitch game 4 there.
I think they have 4 capable starters. It's not a problem. It's not a bad problem to have. It's just you don't know who the matchup is going to be yet, and that's what you have to figure out. '95, '96, and then you're seeing 72. I mean, you talk about trying to time it and not jump at it. He gets a free strike there.
There's Rivera with a home run his first time up.
Yeah, on a hanging breaking ball, and there's a slider, which is a new pitch for him as well. But I mean, it's another young Brave starter that's got outstanding stuff.
Foltynewicz, who in 4 innings, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 home runs. 1 to Alonso and 2-run shot to Rivera. This time a 1 hopper picked by Dansby Swanson, whose throw from short left is in time. Nice play, 2 down.
Well, if I'm doing the scouting report on Rene Rivera, he may be a bad breaking ball hitter, but he's a good strike breaking ball hitter. So you got to make sure that when you throw your breaking ball, it better be a good one, because he's hit 2 balls right on the screw.
Well, Dansby Swanson also knew, if you're doing a scouting report on Rene Rivera, he doesn't run very well.
No.
So Dansby Swanson went in the hole. He looked up and took his time, made a nice throw. But you got Billy Hamilton or someone that can really run, it's a different play. But those darn catchers.
2 down, and Matt's grounding one back to the mound, and Fried will throw him out and enjoys a very quick and easy 1-2-3 5th inning. We're through 5. Mets have a 3-0 lead. Back in New York, it's 3-0 Mets, and It's champ versus champ as Errol the Truth Spence Jr. takes on Showtime's Sean Porter in a World Championship unification bout at Staples Center. Plus, champion Anthony Durrell defends his title against David Benavides. Tonight it starts at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, live on pay-per-view. Or order now on the Fox Sports app, so you still have time to order right now. 6th inning and more Steven Matz back out there, having only allowed 2 hits through the first 5 innings and 5 shutout innings so far for the left-hander. Dealing with Nick Markakis, who lines one to left, but J.D. Davis is there to make the catch for out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 6th inning.
I would think this would be his last inning of work. You wouldn't push unless he got through this really quickly. Got maybe another first pitch out. But this would be it for his season. He has been dominant at home. He has struggled on the road, but he's had a really pretty good second half. And the struggles on the road were really in the first half. So all in all, it's been a pretty good year. I think there's more in the tank for Steven Matz. And you hope that he can take that next step.
There's a pop-up right side. Cano and Alonso, and Robinson Cano on the short lawn in right field. The back pedal and makes the catch for out number 2.
I love watching him play defense. He is so smooth and makes it look so easy. I mean, he goes after this pop-up like, this is no problem. I got this. I got this. Stay out of my way. And he understands where the ball is going to go. He understands he needs to get his back towards center field because the ball will drift that way as you see him drift. And then the underhand throw that he's so good at. I got a lot of chances to watch him make great plays in New York, and he was special to watch.
I was going to say, what would it like to manage him personally?
Easy. He came to play every day. He went to post every day and was productive. Always did his work, worked really hard, would come out for early work, would hit usually early once a week to work on certain things, develop power as time went on, and just loved to play the game and wanted to be out there every day. I mean, there were years he played 158, 159 games and always was ready to go.
You talked about him hitting early and doing all the early work. We watched him do the drill, the Kevin Long drill.
Yes.
Where you would flip on the field, put a net there where you had to learn how to pull the ball.
Yeah.
And after watching him do it, we started incorporating with the White Sox, Greg Walker. We do it all the time, and it helped me tremendously. Learn how to pull the ball, learn how to pull the ball properly, learn how to stay inside the ball, and you'd watch the ball. You'd actually want it to be like a golf slice where it starts out and kind of slices towards center field. I was a left-handed hitter like Cano, so you want the ball to slice towards center field all the time. No matter, you could flip it at your front hip and you still wanted the ball to slice. And that was what him and Kevin Long did. And then when I started doing it, it helped me tremendously with my swing and my finish. He's been a great player for a long time with a lot of really good numbers, and that'll stack up against the second baseman of all time.
Paul Sewald warming in the pen as Conforto moves over towards the line to reel that in. Ends the top of the 6th inning. It's an 8-pitch inning. 3-0 Mets have the lead. Play ball is MLB's initiative to inspire all forms of baseball and softball participation, making play opportunities available and fun for everyone. To find a youth organization near you, go to playball.org. A fun night for Mets fans here in New York at Citi Field. New catcher on here for the Braves. Francisco Cervelli comes over from the Pirates and has really helped out the Braves a lot behind the dish.
Yeah, another kid that loves to play the game. He's an outstanding receiver. He's probably the best thrower that they have. And when you look at the Atlanta Braves moving forward, there's a good chance that they're going to carry 3 catchers on the roster. And this would be the kind of thing that Cervelli would be doing. He'd be coming in, maybe they pinch ran for Brian McCann, or they pinch ran for Flowers, and now you're in the game, or they make a double switch. So I like what Brian Snitker's doing, because this would be his role to come in the game. And offensively, he swung the bat well for the Braves.
There were times this year where it sounded like he wasn't going to play anymore.
Right.
With the number of concussions he had, and really was questioning that, but ends up going to the Braves. He plays fine here.
Yeah, he had a number of concussions in New York. He's had them in Pittsburgh, where he was the everyday catcher, and people thought it was really affecting his play, and he wasn't sure. Well, the rumor was that he wasn't going to catch anymore, that he wanted to to play another position, but I think this kind of silences that because he's been catching for the Braves and he's played some first base.
He takes over for Brian McCann tonight, catching Max Fried in his second inning of relief. As Nimmo almost gets hit with that pitch.
Well, think about Cervelli. He asked to be released. And the Pirates are like, sure. And where does he go? He goes to a playoff team, and he's probably going to be on the playoff roster. I mean,
yeah.
Geez, there was a lot of times I was on a bad team. Like, can you release me and let me go to a playoff team? I'll come back the next year, but they never did it.
Didn't work out so well for you.
No, but it's weird how it changed. It's changed the amount of pull the players have.
That's a perfect pitch, and that's outstanding job by Nimmo.
Here he is after hitting his 53rd last time up in the third inning. A check right away, and that one gets away. Back in the third inning with 2 down. Bases empty. Alonso stepped to the plate. Mike Fulton-Evans gives up history. Great listening to his parents talk last night at JP Morosi as well, and their memories of Little League and everything else.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out to me the most was something his father said. His father, who was a college football player, which is obviously his passion, said that we just tried to fuel Pete's passions. We didn't try to make him love what my husband did. We let him follow his own path because he looks like a football player.
Deep short, and Swanson to second for one. On to first, going to be close and in time. They turn it. So the double play, 2 outs here in the 6th inning.
Pete's questioning whether he was safe or not. You see him looking in to see if they might want to replay it. It should happen fairly quickly.
Well, first of all, that it's this close is amazing. Between Swanson's throw right on the money and then Albie's turn. I mean, the fact that if he's out or not, which it doesn't look like they're going to challenge, or are they? They are, sorry. But just the fact that it's even that close where they have to challenge is a testament to Albie's and Swanson.
And Freddie Freeman probably could have stretched out there further and maybe got the call. And, you know, polar bears can run, too. I mean, I don't know about this polar bear.
But Pete can. Well, not really.
But polar bears can run. But getting back to, you know, I love that the father and the mother let the son find what he loved to do. And it's worked out pretty good.
Well, here's the question. Does the tie go to the runner or not? Because that looks like a pretty much a tie.
Let's see.
It only has to touch any part of the glove. And I think he's out. I think they turned the DP.
You might be right. Wow, that's so close. I don't know if you can overturn this.
Again, does the tie go to the runner? It's not written anywhere the tie goes to the runner, but growing up, that was always
we always heard that, runner, right? Yeah.
In the backyard,
yeah.
I heard it on the Little League Diamonds too.
He is out, and the call stands. So 6-4-3 TP.
That's one of those. If they call him safe, he's safe. They called him out, so he's out.
But hard to overturn.
Hard to overturn, but again, what an incredible turn by Swanson and Albie. I mean, that is big league defense at its finest.
All I know is it gave the New York Mets fans more time to give him a standing ovation as he stood out there at first base. They didn't get the cue.
Now 2 down here in the 6th inning. Here's Robinson Cano. These guys are watching the big board, and they know they got him.
They're saluting each other. Albie's saying, hey, thanks for the great feed. And Swanson saying, what a turn. But a couple years ago, Ozzie Albies, he would have been in left field because somebody would have come in and got him, and it makes that turn much easier. with the new rule where you can't slide into a guy or do anything.
You like the rule? You don't like the rule?
I hate that rule.
Joe?
You know, I don't. Ooh. Robbie Cano's been hit a couple times this year, and I think it's affected his season. That was with a curveball with a couple fastballs in the hand. But I don't mind the rule. But I'm not so sure it's always just as safe. You know, I think it was just as safe before because guys slide so hard and go through the bag part way. And I think sometimes fielders think they don't have to get out of the way. So I'm not so sure it's advantageous for the fielder.
Cut off by Donaldson. Throw gets there in time. That wraps up the 6th inning. We're off to the 7th with the Mets on top 3-0. The MLB postseason begins Tuesday with the NL wildcard on TBS and Wednesday with the AL wildcard on ESPN. Then on Friday, the American League Division Series begins on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Washington Nationals winners today. They will now host the National League wildcard game on Tuesday as Juris Familia into the game now for the Mets.
Well, Juris Familia has an outstanding sinker, and you see the 59 innings pitch, 42 walks. Sometimes it moves so much, you know, it's 95 to 98. He has a hard time controlling it. And I know for him, his split has been a pitch that has worked effectively for him. It is not this year, and a lot of people believe it's the ball. The ball is different. I've heard other people who throw splits have had to change their grip, and I think it's a weapon that's kind of hurt him and been taken away from him.
Down to Todd Frazier at third for out number 1.
Well, they eliminated the split. They took it away from him. Mickey Callaway said we eliminated it because he couldn't throw it anywhere close, and for years and years when he was dominating the National League in the 9th inning, facing him, you knew, hey, I'm getting 97 sinker balls and then a split that looks exactly the same coming out of his hand. And to take that pitch away, it surprised me when they said that he's throwing more sliders. They're also trying to get him to throw more four-seamers to get strike one to get ahead in the count. But yeah, this is another guy, like you said, Joe, they wanted Matz to end the season on a good note. They want him to have a 1-2-3 inning, go into the offseason confident and probably not pitching tomorrow if he has a good inning here.
Fairly ironic that all these blown saves and all these closers, the possible closers they have, are guys that used to do it, were on this roster to begin the year for the Mets. And what a horrible year they've had in the pen in that regard at the end of games.
Well, they went into this year saying, hey, the bullpen's going to be a strength of this team with Familia, Diaz, Wilson.
Yep.
They didn't know Lugo would be what he's become, but
That's been the one plus.
They thought, hey, starting rotation we have, this bullpen's going to be good. We can pitch.
You mentioned Wilson, but certainly what Lugo has done, and doing it for multiple innings too. A lot of these saves have been for more than one inning, and that's something that Mickey Callaway has gotten used to here lately.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year for Mickey managing this bullpen because the pieces did not perform up to what they thought they would, and he's had to do it a little bit different. And Lugo has been his most consistent reliever, and that looked like a four-seamer that you were talking about that he threw by Dansby Swanson, but they've had to manage it different. And you see that's pretty straight, and he throws it by Dansby, and a lot of times you expect it to sink as a hitter, so you might be swinging in a little different spot. But Familia is another guy that needs to have a bounce back year if the Mets are going to make serious noise next year.
Well, as an ex-manager, Joe, how do you get that guy to come back and gain confidence? I know managers will say, hey, put him in lower leverage situations, move him out of the 8th, move him out of the 9th, pitch him in the 5th or the 6th, but it's a guy making big bucks that you're counting on to get big outs for you. You can't just, every guy that struggled, you can't say, well, Diaz, you got the 5th, and Familia, you got the 6th.
Right.
I mean,
especially when you got starters that go 7, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just giving them a chance over the offseason to reset, evaluating everything that has taken place to see. And there's that good slider that you're talking about. So you talk about he's got one pitch going to the right, if you're, from the pitcher standpoint, and one pitch going to the left, and then both diving down. But evaluating everything, all the analytics, his arm angle, maybe he needs to change his sight where he starts the ball. This is the power slider he's got. I mean, this is 89 miles an hour and drops like a split, but trying to gather as much information as you can to present to him going into the offseason. So when he starts to throw his bullpens, he starts to feel better about himself. And then making sure when you put him in games next year that he has success, and you take him out after successful situations. So if it's a 1-inning stint and you're thinking, God, I'd love to get another inning, but he's been successful, maybe you get him out. And then as he proceeds to get back to where he was, you give him more and more.
It's all about creating confidence to finish the year and head into next offseason with that confidence. I think some of these guys have too much information, though, too much thinking on their plates heading to the offseason with information they gather for them along those lines.
Well, I think you have to know what each player is capable of handling and what they do with the information, because you know, information can paralyze people, you know, when you have too much information. Some guys want everything and they can handle it. Other guys maybe not so much, and you try to simplify it, but you try to give him the most important pointers that will make him successful, and let the catcher handle the rest.
This one, Familia's not going to get to, and by the time Cano picks it up, nothing he can do with it. It's actually not Cano. The shift here, moving over, was Frazier. Third baseman was on the right side of the infield, so an infield hit legged out here by Ozzie Albies with 2 down in the 7th inning.
Well, that's just a
thank you.
Well, no, that's a compliment actually to Familia's movement. He topped this ball. He got everything right. Familia got everything right at Albies. He just hits it in a perfect spot, and that's a time where the shift actually hurt the Mets. They'll say, hey, he hit it right into the shift, but because of the third baseman and the second baseman being so far back, that's an easy infield hit for Ozzie Albies.
So 2 down, Albies at first, and it brings up Freddie Freeman, who has been aboard twice tonight. He struck out in the first inning, but since then a single to left and a walk. Is one of only 3 hits gathered tonight by the Braves offensively.
And we commented on his first at bat, it didn't look too good, right? But then you think about the second at bat, he hit the line drive to left field. That's vintage Freddie Freeman. He'll pull some breaking balls. Then he worked a walk. So 2 out of the 3 at bats have been really good.
Snapped an 0 for 13 drought with that base hit that you mentioned. 67th opposite field hit, second most in Major League Baseball. So when he's going good, that's what he does.
He uses the whole field. That's what makes him so dangerous.
And yet they still shift on him.
Well, because on the ground you're gonna pull it, but you see him stay inside this baseball. He lets it get deep. He extends, which we talked about. It's probably really important. That's what you want to see. And he drove the ball to left field. So to me, maybe those 4 days off really did help him. They're going to need him. He's so important to this lineup.
Oh, I noticed on that swing, it looked like a little grimace on his face right when he got to contact and he got to that extension. It almost looked like there was a small grimace on his face right when he gets to contact. Everything is good, and then kind of right there as he turns, see the look on his face like, that might have, I don't know if that was a grimace of excitement, like I got a hit, haha, or, oh, that kind of hurt to get the extension.
You have to wonder a little bit about his health going into the postseason. Acuna also, who is on the bench for the remainder of the regular season before postseason starts. Those are 2 huge pieces to the Atlanta Braves and what they do.
Well, Acuna Jr., 41 homers, 101 RBIs, 128 runs scored. Freeman, 121 RBIs. Yes, they are. And the thing about Acuna Jr., he can beat you in so many ways. Defensively, he can beat you. He can beat you running the bases. I mean, you look at the top of their order with him and Albies running the bases. They're great at taking that extra base and stealing. So in the playoffs, sometimes it's not so easy to get hit. So they're able to create those runs, you know, by getting on and maybe stealing second, and then one guy gets him over and the next guy gets him in. So these guys are really important to this offense. And if I'm Ozzie Albies here, I mean, he could steal this base, I believe. You know, you watch Familia throw over. He's not comfortable throwing over, it looks like to me, and you could get a huge lead. But the last thing you want to do is get hurt trying to steal a base in somewhat a meaningless game.
Mets have allowed 138 stolen bases this season. That's the most by far in Major League Baseball. No other team has allowed 100 stolen bases, in the Mets, they've allowed 138.
Yeah, and 1/3 of those are Noah Syndergaard. He's given up 42 and in 45 attempts, and really that's like, you know, adding 42 bases to the OPS, and that's a big difference. And I think for him, he's not as comfortable when runners get on base because he doesn't control the running game extremely well, and off-season project.
On the other side for the Braves, nearly half their stolen bases. Ronald Acuna Jr. has them. Talking about that element of speed. Carved foul. We'll do it again here. 2-2 for Freddie Freeman.
Well, not only the injury factor when it comes to Albies at first, stealing second, but they're down 3-0. They're hoping Freddie Freeman can run into one and make it 3-2. If he gets thrown out stealing, Freddie leads off. It changes the dynamics of the entire game. So let Freddie Freeman swing right here and see if he can make it a one-run game.
And this might be Freddie's last at bat. In a sense, they may get him out here. I mean, sometimes you do that as you're moving on to playoffs, because you'd hate to see something silly happen, because both times it looked like he hurt his arm fielding when his right hand went down opposed to swinging.
2 strikeouts for Familia, 7th inning stretch. 3-0. The Mets have the lead here over the Braves as you move to the bottom of the 7th inning. It's on to the bottom of the 7th, and Michael Conforto to lead it off, takes a curveball that misses in. He has struck out twice tonight, once looking, once swinging in his 2 previous plate appearances. It's Conforto, Davis, and Rosario to face Max Fried, who flips up another one. His 3rd inning of relief here for Mike Foltynewicz. His first 4, giving up the 3 runs that the New York Mets currently have here as they bat in the bottom of the 7th. Final tune-up for him as well.
Fried, curveball, and then slider to Conforto.
High fastball up here.
Either that or I expect another breaking ball in the dirt.
There's the gas at 96 up, and it works to strike out Conforto for the 3rd time tonight. 2nd strikeout from Max Fried. It's time for the State Farm covering the bases, and it is goodbye to a couple of managers. Bruce Bochy, 25-year career, Hall of Famer, 95 to 2019, a 3-time World Series champion in a series of 5 years. And Ned Yost, 16-year career, 2003 through 2019, and a world champion in 2015 with the Kansas City Royals.
Well, you think about the Kansas City Royals winning their World Series here.
That's right.
So obviously Ned Yost has had a great career. Bruce Bochy was the manager in San Diego when we faced off him in the World Series in '98 when I was part of the Yankees. So he's had his fun and his success, and both of them have been great managers and great ambassadors for the game.
Bruce Bochy, Hall of Famer for me.
Absolutely.
Ned Yost, probably not, but still an incredible run. Brewers, then the Royals, and to win a World Series with Kansas City in today's game with the way the payrolls and the way the big market, small market. What a tremendous job and a great career. Now he can go deer hunting all the time.
Yeah, but he's got to stay in the stand. Don't fall out, Ned. Get a seatbelt.
Some sort of harness or something to hold him in.
Well, he didn't do it when he was in the stand. He did it climbing up.
As you mentioned, winning here, Game 5 of 2015. Wade Davis with the last pitch. Salvador Perez enjoying. Hosmer and Moustakas have both moved on to other places. And Ned Yost, his final year this year at Kansas City. Got the Gatorade shower there at the end, NFL-like.
I liked how he said, no, and then he's like,
yes,
we just won the World Series, I'm in.
And if I recall, it wasn't necessarily a really warm night in New York at the end of October, so.
When you win the World Series, I imagine you kind of
feels good.
Do that,
Yeah, you win the World Series, you do things you normally wouldn't do.
No, and you think about, what was I thinking?
Yeah, but at the time, you weren't thinking.
Now 2 down here in the 7th inning. Rosario standing in and taking a pitch.
Really good command of both breaking balls. Good command of his fastball. Looks really calm out there. Everything looks slow for him.
A liner into center field and a ringing single for Rosario, a 2 down.
And I jinxed it like Keuchel jinxed it in that 3rd inning. Sorry, Max.
As a player, start looking for, get down to these last couple games, you start looking for things that you can accomplish. Alonso, obviously, with the major one with the home runs, but Ozzie Albies, 298. He wants to hit 300. I know average doesn't mean what it used to, but still, it looks pretty cool in the back of your baseball card. Hey, I hit 300. Freddie Freeman, 294. Can he get to 300?
Marquez, 499 doubles, right?
He wants 500 going to the offseason. As a professional, as a player, there are things you can always shoot for. And also, it's on the manager and the coaches to say, hey, this guy needs this for whatever it is. Say, hey, this guy needs an extra inning to get a bonus or to get to a nice round number. And it means something to those players.
Yeah, and Frazier trying to finish up strong because he's auditioning for the Mets and someone for next year as he's afraid. You think about Cervelli auditioning for the Braves and 29 other teams that, hey, I can still do this. I can still catch at a high level, maybe not 120 games, but I can still do this. So, yeah, these games mean a lot.
I was talking before the game today with Rajai Davis, who's another guy who might be at the end here. He's 37 years old. Not sure if he's going to play again next year somewhere.
I know one thing. He could steal a base with the best
he can.
of. Wow.
And who will forget his grand slam?
Yes.
In the World Series. JP, you can add some light on what's the future here for Rajai Davis?
Yes, Rajai told me yesterday, Don, he plans to continue playing in 2020. It's been a great experience for him here in New York. He lives in Connecticut, so lots of time at home with his two children. Actually, Don, the first MLB game he ever saw was here at Shea Stadium in 1988.
We'll see how that shakes down for him as Todd Frazier strikes out looking. It's 3-0 Mets. To the 8th we go. The calendar turns and the action ramps up as baseball's brightest young stars take center stage. And Major League Baseball postseason begins Tuesday. Go to MLB.com/postseason for the full schedule. It's that time, the best time of the year in Major League Baseball. As we play along to the 8th, and the new left fielder, Rajai Davis, heads over and makes the catch in front of Brandon Nimmo for the first out here of the 8th.
Doesn't take long for that ball to find you, does it?
It's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing how it happens. You come in the game, and the first ball is always hit to you. It's unbelievable.
I'm just glad as a catcher it was never hit to me.
Yeah.
It was thrown.
Yes.
But as long as it wasn't hit to me like a pop-up, I was fine.
I didn't like pop-ups.
No, I hated them.
Yeah. Especially on sunny days.
Especially on any day that ended in Y for me.
Brad Brock, the new pitcher here for the Mets, 3rd of the night. Catcher problems. Pop-ups, huh? Neither one of you guys are.
No. I told him every year in spring training, told the first baseman and third baseman, look, you catch every pop-up. I'm not touching them. I'm going to pretend like I can't see them. You're going to catch them. And if you don't catch them, they're going to drop because I'm going to throw my hands up like I can't see them.
Who were your first basemen in Chicago?
I had Konerko, who couldn't move at all.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had Joe Creedy, who covered everything. But Konerko would try. Minkiewicz, when I was in Minnesota, he was great. He caught them all. Texas, we had Mitch Moreland, who Gold Glover. He could get them all. Atlanta, I had Freddie. I'm like, look, Freddie, your nickname's Fast Freddie. Come get him.
At least you knew your weaknesses. You were in touch with that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Even in spring training, we do the little drill with the machine. Couldn't catch him then. Eddie Perez, the Braves guy, make fun of me, laugh. You suck. I'm like, I know.
You don't need to tell me. How about the days they would take you? It was always sunny out, too. The day they would take you, not a cloud.
And windy, too. They'd always pick the windiest.
Right.
Well.
Pretty good changeup by Brad Brock. He's always had a great changeup, and it allowed him to be a closer in Baltimore and did really pretty good job. But he's always had that great changeup, and it almost acts like a split with all the depth that he gets on it. You see that?
Don't see Nick Markakis look that fooled that often.
No.
That almost looked like a end of spring training at bat. Like, I just want to get this over with right here. But Nick is so professional. I don't see him doing that, especially in a game that counts.
No, and he's trying to get ready because he missed it. You know, he's had 45 at bats since he's been back, so he wants to feel comfortable. But they'd always do that. Your last pop up, they would shoot one up, thump, 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 and you try to catch all 4 of them, and it was a nightmare. Oh. Then eventually I just run out. I'm sorry. Let somebody else do that.
How about when they used to make you do like somersaults and lay on the ground? And, oh, they do all kinds of crazy stuff just to prove I couldn't catch a pop-up.
Just to embarrass us. to be able to tell us we still needed work.
I tell you what, I take pop-ups over the blocking drills though all the time. Any day of the week, I'll take pop-ups.
This is driven deep and far, but foul.
Yeah, but were you blocking real baseballs?
Depending on what team I was on. Some teams, yeah.
Yeah, that was. Oh. We had this certain coach who had initials RL, and I'm going to stop it there, that used to shoot the balls out of the machine and give us arm pads. And I'm like, this makes no sense. I finally convinced him that we should use Incrediballs because I think blocking is an instinct, right? So when you're using hard balls, a lot of times you just try to protect yourself so you don't get in good position, opposed to just letting it be instinct.
A 2-out base hit for Adam Duvall to center field, his second hit of the night. I want to remind you to download the brand new Fox Sports Super 6 app and play our weekend games for free for a chance to win up to $250,000.
So RL, I'm guessing.
No names, because Aaron, producer, just said the name. Good thing nobody can hear. I'm not ratting a guy because I loved him. He was such a great coach and a great guy, and we used to have all these things that we did to earn golf balls or give golf balls to him. We usually lost, and I finally convinced him, and he bought in, and I was very happy too.
Cervelli grounds a grass cutter to shortstop. Rosario's going to first for the out that wraps up the top of the 8th inning. We head to the bottom of the 8th with the Mets at home on top 3-0. That's what tonight has been about. Pete Alonso getting his 53rd. It's time now for a Budweiser game summary. His 53rd home run of the season, a new Major League rookie record. Steven Matz in his final game of the year, 6 innings, 2 hits, 7 Ks. And the Mets jumping out to a 3-0 advantage on the benefit of 2 home runs, a 2-run shot for Rene Rivera. His first home run since 2018. And Pete Alonso registering the solo shot, his 53rd. They've had some chances in this game. The Braves have left 10 men on base. The Mets have left only 1.
It's all about the polar bear tonight, though. All that rest is kind of inconsequential, except for Polar Bear Pete hitting number 53 and getting an amazing ovation from the crowd. Just incredible. The tears, well, the almost tears. He'll never admit that he cried, but his parents.
I saw tears.
His parents shed tears. His fiance shed tears. What a moment.
Yeah, really a special moment. And he journals a lot. He not only journals what pitchers do, but he journals his thoughts and his feelings. So I'm sure he'll be writing for a long time tonight.
A lot to put in the journal.
Yeah.
Good thing I never did that. Would have been a lot of bad words. What was I doing on that? Because you go home after games and you seem to never remember the positives as much as you just, especially when you lose it. You win a game, you kind of move on like, oh, we won, great. You lose the game and you're like, oh, if I just would have called this pitch different, if I would have done this and this at bat. Those are the thoughts I don't know if they drive you or they drive you insane, one or the other.
Both.
It seems you always remember the negative sometimes more than you do the positives.
Rivera hits a 1-hopper to short. Dansby Swanson has time and gets it there in time. Well, for Pete Alonso, his big home run moments, the home run derby 2019. August 27th, he hit his 42nd home run, a franchise record. To September 20th, home run number 50, most ever in a debut season. And last night, got his 52nd home run, and tonight breaks the record held along with Aaron Judge. They're both at 52 heading into tonight's action, but breaks it with home run number 53 back in the 3rd inning, a solo shot.
But I love that his fiance said, we're little stitious. There was an at bat Pete Alonso struck out and he had a mustache.
Yeah.
Next at bat he comes out and he shaved it. That's a lot. That's big stitious. That's huge stitious. I mean, little stitious, you leave the mustache for at least another at bat.
Or you shave half of it.
I mean, you go in and shave the whole thing between at bats. You're a lot stitious.
First plate appearance for Rajai Davis, who strikes out, second out here in the 8th inning. 5 strikeouts for Max Fried. Well, I would say it would be a major upset if he was not the Rookie of the Year, and will be joining this list. Tom Seaver in 67, John Matlack in 72, Darryl Strawberry in 83, Dwight Gooden in 84, and Jacob deGrom most recently in 2014.
Well, if you're Brian Snitker, you're making a double switch here, and you're thinking Max Fried did everything that we wanted him to do tonight. So they're making a pitching change here, but.
So we will step aside. The pitching change from Citi Field. Mets have a 3-0 lead. In the midst of the last of the 8th with 2 down, a double switch for Brian Snitker. Chris Martin checks into the game, the 3rd arm used for the Atlanta Braves.
Look at the difference, 55 and a third innings, 5 walks. When you think about Familia, about the same amount of innings and 42 walks. Part of the 3-headed monster that they acquired at the deadline. Martin, Green, and Melanson. 7th, 8th, 9th inning.
That was an area they felt they needed to shore up, and they really did, as Rafael Ortega, is part of the double switch, takes over for Adam Duvall in left field. When you look at Melanson, who had really not enjoyed his time after signing a huge contract with the San Francisco Giants. Was going to be their closer, really was never in that role for very long, and ends up not coming to the Atlanta Braves. And Brian Snitker telling us before the game he's been lights out.
Yeah, all 3 of these guys have fit well in the roles. It didn't start off great in the beginning. You know, Green was the closer, and Melanson was kind of the 8th inning guy, and everyone struggled a little bit at the beginning, and Greeny maybe as much as anyone. But then it all kind of fall into place, and the Braves got on a roll.
That is strike 3. Makes quick work of Brandon Nimmo and ends the 8th inning. We're off for the 9th. It's 3-0 New York. Well, in comes Edwin Diaz. He's not had a save since August the 15th. This is a save situation.
More confidence building, I believe, by Mickey Callaway. Yes, Lugo threw 2 innings last night. Probably unavailable, but hey, here's a chance for Edwin Diaz to go in the offseason with a positive thought in his head.
Yeah, he's really struggled with the home run ball. I mean, 15 home runs he's given him. I mean, that's just unheard of by a closer. And his slider, he struggled at times with his slider.
This one has popped up. The
Here you go. This is you, AJ. AJ, you got this.
Rene Rivera's got it in foul ground, 1 down. Matt Joyce, the pinch hitter, fouls out for the first out. I mean, how do you explain Edwin Diaz? All those saves last year, 7 blown saves this year. He's got nasty stuff.
Sometimes this game is so frustrating because you can't explain it. You know,
how about here, this stage? Is this
right.
stage a problem? Is it in his head?
It could be. It could be that it snowballed, because I'm telling you, April, he was lights out. Lights out. And he blew a save in May, and it just kind of snowballed on him. And you question whether, you know, it's the stage or he lost his slider. I mean, that's 97 with movement. It is somewhat flat. It's a side movement opposed to a down movement. But the stuff he has shown has been there at times.
Rafael Ortega pops this one up foul ground. Rivera gives it a look, but it's backing out of play.
Just the way you want a season to end for you, AJ. A couple pop-ups then.
And then he just threw it over the catcher's head. You see that?
Oh, he
I mean,
did.
the pitcher's head. Rene Rivera just threw it over the pitcher's head. That's why Diaz is laughing. The previous ball was thrown right over his head by Rene Rivera.
See, I'd like to see him try. You know, he's thrown 3 fastballs. Here it is.
Watch. You think this is an easy throw? Whoop.
That's arm strength, AJ. That's what. But I'd like to see him try to vary a back foot slider here. You see Rene trying to, and he shook it. I think he shook it off. It's going up in the zone.
And that's strike 3. Got a call right there at 98. First strikeout for Diaz, 2 down.
Well, before we get off the air, we talked to Mickey Callaway about Pete Alonso hit his 53rd home run tonight. Great. But if he didn't hit it tonight, we said, hey, did you think about hitting him leadoff to get him an extra at bat? Well, he hit second tonight. He only got 3 at bats. The leadoff guy got 4. There might have been the extra at bat, but it worked out for Pete Alonso. But interesting thought by not only you, Joe, who asked the question, but also Mickey Callaway said, yeah, we thought about it to try to get him that extra at bat, and it actually happened tonight.
And they talked about not putting him in an uncomfortable position. You know, he's never let off before, so he has hit second, so they tried to put him in a comfortable spot. And it worked out, and good for everyone involved. I mean, there's been a lot of good things that have happened to the Mets this year. There really has been, and he's number one. You see that 99-mile-an-hour fastball, but again, you know, I'm looking at this. This is a time for him to work on his slider. He's got a little wiggle room here, and I'd like to see him throw one. And if you miss, come back with another one.
I don't know that they care about in the 15-19. I mean, that's
unheard of.
It's unbelievable, especially for a guy throwing 99. But you're saying he needs to throw a slider. I think he just needs a clean inning. 1, 2, 3. He doesn't care how he gets it. He just wants to get Swanson out, get out of here, get the save, and move to the offseason and think, man, what a great last outing I had.
God, look at that. Try to hit that. I don't know if you can hear, but they're chanting Pete Alonso. It's pretty cool, you know? Because maybe some of these fans aren't coming tomorrow, right? Getting a chance to thank him.
Well, the stand is won at Citi Field in New York with 2 outs and a count of 2-2. They struck him out in the Mets win. Edwin Diaz has a 1-2-3 ninth inning. Picks up his 26th save of the year, but it's all about Pete Alonso tonight and his 53rd home run of his rookie season, a new single season record. Mets will get the win in this game, and it's 11-10 with the victory. The loss goes to Fulton Evich, falls to 8-6. Not a shocker by any means, but it's time for the dynamic play of the game presented by Hankook Tire. And Pete Alonso's 53rd home run back at the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Well, AJ, he got that fastball down the middle that you talked about. Talking to Brian Stickler, manager Braves, could someone lay one in there? But what's impressive is his power to all fields and the excitement and the love that he plays for this game, and showed a lot of emotion and has not forgotten where he was, how he got to this point, and all the people that have affected his life.
Yes, the Mets threw a shutout. Great, big win for the Mets, but the night belonged to Pete Alonso. His record, his night, the way the fans reacted, the way he reacted, the tears in his eye, the way his family reacted, makes you proud if you're a Mets fan to look out and say, hey, Pete Alonso is the face of my franchise, and he really cares.
A happy dad looking on as his son has hit his 53rd home run of his first season. What is next for the Braves? We check out the current postseason alignment as things are lined up here. The Atlanta Braves facing the Cardinals as the Dodgers will wait for the Brewers and Nationals, and with the Nationals win today, the Nationals will be hosting that game against the Brewers in the wild card scenario right now on the NL side. Well, with the man of the hour, JP Morosi, standing by with Pete Alonso.
Thank you, Don. Pete, congratulations. Your mother, Michelle, told us that you're a passionate person, but you're rarely moved to tears. So who were you thinking about in the 4th inning?
I don't know. I was just kind of thinking about all the greats in the game of baseball. I was thinking about guys like Babe Ruth, like Ted Williams, and then obviously like Aaron Judge, guys like that, those incredible guys, and the fact that I'm ahead of those guys, and like as a rookie, it's mind-blowing, and I feel like that when I stepped into the box, like I didn't feel alone. That's the only way to explain it. It's like it was. I don't even know how to describe it. It was surreal. It was almost an out-of-body experience. I feel like I wasn't the one swinging the bat. I feel like it just happened, and an unbelievable moment.
Pete, you shared with me earlier today, it was a little more than 100 years ago, your grandfather arrived to Ellis Island from Spain. How do you reflect on your family's journey to this moment?
So he arrived like in the 1930s. Then he made New York his home, and he met my grandma here in New York, and I don't know. He was a big Brooklyn Dodgers fan back in the day, and I don't know. I feel like he would have been a Mets fan if he stayed in New York. But I mean, this is so special. There's so many people that have really helped me become a big league ball player. So many people that have coached me, had such a positive impact on my life, and I just feel blessed. I mean, this is more than a dream. It's more than a fantasy. I can't put it into words. It's surreal. Yeah.
And Pete, last question for you. You're known as someone who likes to write in a journal. When you sit down tonight with your pen, what will you write?
I don't think I could write anything, because anything I would want to write, it wouldn't do this. It wouldn't do this feeling, this emotion. It wouldn't do anything justice. It wouldn't do this moment justice. It's just something that I can think back on and try to explain it. But it's just, this moment was just so beautiful. I couldn't even put it into words. So I'd need pretty much the whole dictionary to write, to explain how I feel.
Well, they're proud of you, Pete, in your hometown of Tampa, in Lancaster, Ohio, and here in New York City. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Don, back to you.
A new single-season rookie home run record, 53 for Pete Alonso. Back in the third inning, his historic night from Citi Field. What a night it was.